Seeing birds eating birds in the national parks in South Africa is not all that unusual, but never before have we witnessed it on anywhere near the scale that we saw in Kruger National Park in February. Red-billed Queleas rank amongst the most common birds in the world, with the global population estimated to be in the order of 1,500 billion, and individual flocks may number in the tens of thousands. They are quite small birds, the adults weighing around 20 grams, and during the breeding season the males have black face masks and bright red bills. The grasslands to the northeast of Satara Rest Camp in Kruger National Park are quite spectacular at this time of the year, particularly in the late afternoon when the low sun picks up the golden color of the seeding grass. We headed out on this route in the early morning because we had been told by a fellow camper at Satara that red-billed Queleas were breeding in this area, and we were very keen to see them. We passed herds of zebra, elephant and the ubiquitous impala before a shallow water crossing. Then we reached the area where the red-billed Queleas were feeding. Queleas eat mainly grass seeds, and as we drove through the grasslands it was amazing to watch them feeding. The huge flocks adopt a spectacular rolling pattern, with the birds at the back continually flying over those in the front before landing. Every few seconds you see thousands of birds rising from the long grass, almost like a puff of thick smoke, wheeling in unison and then resettling. A little further on we reached the area where the quelea were breeding, with thousands upon thousands of carefully woven nests. These little weavers are monogamous, but just how they can find their own nests in this enormous colony is a mystery. What struck us immediately when we reached the breeding area was the number of raptors that had gathered. There were eagles present in abundance, several perched on virtually every tree. Eagles are certainly not rare in Kruger Park, but it was amazing to see them in such numbers in one spot. And there was perhaps an even greater number of marabou storks. Tawny eagles, lesser spotted eagles, and steppe eagles seemed to be the most common, wheeling across the sky in spectacular fashion, or just perched in the open when not actually feeding. The rather unattractive marabou storks with their long bills would land on top of an acacia and probe down to locate a nest that lay just below the top of the canopy. Obviously not every probe ended in a successful hunt, as many of the nests had already been plundered or were deserted, but any queleas located, fledgling and adult alike, were plucked out and quickly swallowed.
If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe down below. Thank you.
This is a successful hunt. A lot of probing, and a quelea is caught, tossed back and swallowed in just a second. Take a look again in slow motion. We always find eagles impressive, and to see so many perched regally as they survey the area is a very special treat. Here are 11 eagles and one stork in just one frame. Amazing. The eagles, lacking the long bill of the marabous, adopted a different approach and climbed down into the acacias to raid the nests. Bearing in mind that these are acacias with long thorns, one wonders about the damage to the bird's plumage. Quite surprisingly, we didn't see any goshawks or falcons on our 2 visits to these breeding grounds, but they would surely have been there at other times. Here's another successful hunt by a marabou stork, an adult quelea gripped by just one leg but unable to escape and quickly swallowed whole, and then a second taken by the same stork just a few seconds later. Several studies have shown that up to 60% of young birds can be killed during one of these feeding episodes. Rather gruesome perhaps, but having little effect on the long-term number of queleas. The incredible flocks feeding in the grassland seemed undiminished as we drove back to Satara.